So as a vegan, I'm always trying to figure out how to have the biggest impact for the animals. But building a social media following to get massive reach is tough. And oftentimes it can feel like you're just shouting into the void. So today I'm talking with my friend and Reddit guru, Donkey, who's managed to get millions of views on Reddit while having virtually no social media following. So join us as we go over strategies and tips that you can start using right now to supercharge your impact. So Donkey, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great having you. So the first question I have is, why Reddit? Why not YouTube or Instagram or TikTok?
Absolutely. So I was looking at a couple of the social media platforms, figuring out how I could maximize my impact. And then I looked at Reddit, and Reddit has 430 million monthly users and 70 million daily active users. That's a huge amount of people that can view our vegan content. The second thing about it is that once you have an account that's about a week old, as well as some karma, you are at a level playing field with everybody else. Whereas, things like Instagram, it's usually the famous people that get most of the views. And then I'd say probably the third thing would be that it's effective. I've had a number of people reach out to me, say that they've made changes or even gone vegan because of the content that I've shared.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really good to hear. And just so I can give people like a sense of proportionality here, Earthling Ed, who I'm sure everyone knows, he's probably one of the biggest vegan activists on the planet. He has about 450,000 YouTube subscribers. And most of his recent videos are getting between like 50 and 150,000 views. You have like 2 subscribers on YouTube, and I don't even know if you have an Instagram. And you've had like, 10 to 14 million views this year, depending on how you count them?
Yeah, so about 11 million views for my own content, and then about 15 if you include some of the reposts that I've been doing.
Yeah, so I mean, that's incredible just from reposts. And we'll get into that later, but reposts take very little work relative to the amount of views you can get. So yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I think then the best thing now is to just get into it. Give us your tips, tricks, show us how basically anyone can go in and do what you've done.
Definitely. Let's do it. All right. So the first thing I would say would be to have strong aesthetics or branding. What I did is I did an internet search for the most trusted names in our society to make a username based on that. And also even having a professional looking avatar can make it so people might take you more seriously. You can see my little man in the upper left up here. Include a genuine summary of yourself and even an attractive profile banner that you can see over in the upper right here. And definitely don't have anything like vegan or carnage smasher in your name because people really probably won't take you seriously.
So I was going to say, so having like Carnage Blaster 420 is not the best Reddit handle to have if you're trying to get a lot of views.
Yeah, you guessed my first name.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'd say my next tip is quality over quantity. Searching for inspiring and hard-hitting content is something that I do weekly, or search the top subs, as you can see here, at this website to get some ideas. When I'm looking for new content, I often ask myself, what would be most effective for the most amount of people and to really help out the animals? Attacking the protein myth with data, showing the sustainability and health benefits of eating plants, and asking self-proclaimed nonviolent communities like our yoga, for example, why they pay for the violent killing of animals. There are a few that I've done recently. Even search the largest subs for the best vegan or plant-based posts and repost them if it's within the rules. This is one example that you can see right here that I did. This can be really fast and a reliable way to get a lot of views. This one got, as you can see, 247,000 views. And this was basically just a repost. What I did is I went to Futurology, which is a very large subreddit, found plant-based or vegan posts that did well, and then just reposted it. It literally took me 4 minutes. Some of the subreddits and moderators won't allow, quote, vegan content or discussions. So going with the term plant-based can usually get your content through, which you can see that I did here.
That's just crazy, right? So you're saying like it took you maybe 4 or 5 minutes and you said, 250,000, 240,000 views? Yeah, I mean, it's hard to match that input to output ratio. And so that's just what I really want to impress upon people. You don't need a huge social media following. You don't need to be an established YouTuber or Instagrammer or anything like that, right? You can start doing this right now with the tools we're going to give you here. And any of the links that Donkey provides, those will be in the description as well.
Definitely, yeah. And in no way am I claiming that, reposting any of these things are nearly as effective as anybody's, longer videos where they have more time to go through different points. But it is a really, really fast way of saying, hey, let's let people know that the IPCC really wanted to include a plant-based diet due to its environmental impacts. Okay, next one is optimize the portion of your post that's visible in the feed. Make your title, image, and first 2 sentences as powerful as possible, since this is the only thing that at least everyone will see when scrolling past. Basically, this is the thing that's going to appear in people's feeds. And if they want to learn more, that's when they'll actually click on your post. If you don't have an image, just an FYI, Reddit will use the thumbnail of the first hyperlink you include in the body of the post. Make darn sure that your title and post are perfect, no spelling errors. The link isn't behind a paywall or a login, for example, because you can't edit the title, the image, or the link of your post. So you'll have to delete it if you need to change anything. That's also an issue because if you try and repost it, sometimes the automod will block it because it thinks that you're trying to spam the subreddit. This post title had the main takeaway from the study, and it got 700,000 views. Basically, a detailed 2023 analysis finds plant-based diets lead to 75% less climate heating emissions, water pollution, and land use than meat-rich ones. So even if people don't click on this, 700,000 people saw this in their feed for a minimum duration. Yeah, I want to give another example to that as well. Images are also fully shown. I think that this is one of the reasons why this posted well. This one got 4.6 million views. Well, it actually showed up in 4.6 million people's feeds for minimum durations. That's one of the reasons why I really like images, because they don't actually have to click on your post in order to get the content from it. And this doesn't actually include the 4.6 million, doesn't include the 27 other subreddits that this was cross-posted to. And I'll get into cross-posting and reposting in a little bit.
And so just real quick, just for people who are kind of new to Reddit, you talked about mods and auto mods. What are both of those things and how do they work on Reddit?
Yeah, so automods are automated programs to block certain things. For example, if a certain subreddit does not want you to use the word vegan, if you post something that's very, benign, but it has the word vegan in it, the automod will automatically block you from posting that. Don't let that frustrate you. The game is all about figuring out how to, adhere to the subreddit's rules. Yep. So the moderators are actually unpaid volunteers who get to moderate the subreddit however they see fit. They can permanently ban you whenever they want to without reason, which doesn't really happen that frequently unless you're really starting to do some things that upset them. If you try and get around the auto moderator, or if you're posting things over and over again that aren't in the spirit of the subreddit.
So in other words, we're talking here, there's a fine line to walk between getting your stuff viewed on the subreddit and doing things that are so egregiously, obviously underhanded that you don't get either banned by the auto mod or the moderators.
Absolutely. And I'd say probably 66 to 75% of my posts actually get through, because all the time my posts are dealing with plant-based diets and veganism and ethics and things like that. So there's a lot of things that I'm trying to talk about that get flagged. So yeah, you're totally right, Justin, where it is a dance to try and get your posts through. Okay, so next one is to post at an ideal time. So question for you, Justin, if you had some awesome content that you wanted to share, what day and time would you share it?
Man, I don't know. I feel like I would share it right before lunchtime on a Wednesday. That's the day that I'm definitely hump day,
Yeah, definitely. That's a fantastic time to post. I hope I didn't give away the answer to anybody here ahead of time, but this website is fantastic to analyze different subreddits and when the posts do the best. I found that during the weekdays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is really good Eastern time, as well as 10 a.m. to noon on weekends. That's really when most people are online, including Europe. They're even at work still. At 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, or 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, like you said, Justin. And also, this is making it so the West Coast is starting to log in. If you post it at 9 a.m., people are already getting on the West Coast as well. So this is a really great time. Since Reddit posts get most of their views in the first 8 hours, when to post is really important. Different subreddits do better on different days. Like our documentaries might do better on a Saturday or a Sunday because most people are looking for something to watch. And again, this website is really fantastic to kind of figure out when you would want to do it. So also, this doesn't necessarily say, hey, this is the best time, because if you go on there and there are certain other considerations, other people posting at the same time, which we'll talk about in a second, then that's also something to take into account. I found it's best to read the subs rules first and think about when you'll run into the least amount of competition. For example, Our Data is Beautiful has 20 million subscribers and only allows personal posts on Mondays and only allows political posts on Thursdays, which means that you probably don't want to post on those days. You're going to be up against a lot of other posts that are looking to talk about all the data that they had, or how many Tinder profile, or how many Tinder likes they failed, or something like that. So I usually post on a Tuesday, but if there's a lot of competition at that time, then I'll choose the Wednesday. Before lunch, like you said, Justin. The final thing I'd say on that one is I wouldn't suggest posting more than once every 2 weeks to a specific sub because you might get flagged. I actually got flagged for spam from R Vegan. So I can't actually post on R Vegan anymore, even though I've been vegan for a while. So that's something interesting as well.
I think I might have pissed off our vegan as well. We'll see.
Are you on a spam filter too?
I might be.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That's okay. We can address the other people. I think we're good with the vegans. Yeah. Okay. Another thing is ask for help from others. So this, as you can see here, is basically me posting in Discord, asking for help from my friends to upvote this. Even getting 5 upvotes makes it so you are instantly above everybody else who's posting at that same time if they don't have a little entourage of people to help you. Reddit sorts the visibility of posts based on the amount of upvotes. So it's really important for you to get 5 when everything else only has like 1 or 2 or maybe even 0. Yeah, so it's very, very important. So, and again, increasing the visibility of your post will further allow it to get more upvotes, which will further increase its visibility, which will allow it to go viral. So this is why it's important to have your friends upvote it, probably within the first 30 minutes to an hour to really get it kickstarted.
Yeah, and I just want to stress how valuable I think this is. I've seen it in action. It really works well. The thing about it is, I would say, is it can't make a bad post good. I don't think just doing this makes a bad post good. But what it can prevent is a good post from getting screwed because of randomness or some like event,
100%. I mean, if you have bad content, it'll kind of sputter upwards with your friends' votes. And then, like you said, it'll crater. What you're really trying to prevent it from doing is if you have this fantastic post that you put out there, and say you run into an unlucky distribution of people, say the first 10 people that vote, 7 of them downvote or something like that. That'll make it so you're at 0, and Reddit will effectively hide your post as compared to what you're competing against, within the first hour or 2. So that's something that you definitely want to avoid. One other thing to mention with friends, you don't want to follow each other because Reddit has a really good way of knowing who your friends are. So if you're doing anything that it doesn't like promoting veganism on subreddits that don't necessarily appreciate it, sometimes they'll do kind of blanket bans to get multiple people at the same time. Yeah. So another thing that's really important is always be kind to other people. Being nice to people in the comments section so others will upvote your post is very important. This includes thanking people for their feedback, even if you don't necessarily agree with it, or like we're seeing in this example, somebody basically, I spent probably 20 hours on this graph, or 10 or 15 hours on this graph. And this person came in and says I want to see something else. So basically my response to all these people was, that's great. Thank you for the idea. I plan on doing something like that in the future, is how I mostly dealt with those pieces of feedback. Rely on your friends or even other Redditors to deal with the extreme trolls. Like if somebody's like, oh, I looked on your profile and you follow our vegan, therefore this is just vegan propaganda. Like you do, Justin. It's best to just stick to positivity. Just I downvote those people and then just leave them for other people to deal with their messages.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really important. I think it's important here to note too, because getting a bunch of views is important. That sort of gets certain pieces of information out to the general public. But the comments is, to me, my sense is the comments is where you change minds. That's where people see you kind of getting into more of the nuance of the argument. And it's also where people see who you are, and if someone says, oh, I think you should have done the graph like this. And you're like, yeah, well, why don't you do the graph? I took 10 to 15 hours on it, why don't you make a graph? Because part of you wants to say that. There's some part of you that kind of wants to be like, oh, okay, well, I want to see you do better. And it's just bring it in, stay calm, stay positive. I think that goes a long way to showing that, because the stereotypes we deal with, right? Vegans are these lunatics who are just unhinged or whatever. And to just show people that vegans can be very objective, very calm, very polite. Smashing those stereotypes really does a good bit of work there.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, the very first thing that I did when I made my third graph, which was actually based on protein per 100 calories, was based on calorie, is in the comment section. They said, why don't you do it based on density? And then I said, oh, haha, that's my first graph. And I gave them the link there. So I think, a lot of people will give you feedback in the comments. So just dealing with them positively, like you said as well, Justin, is the way to go.
Yeah, and I think it's the funny thing because content creation in general is always a series of trade-offs. You can't put everything in every post or every video. And so no matter what you post, people will come in and be like, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you add this? Why didn't you talk about this? And so that's just something, if you're doing content creation and if you're watching this video and you want to make Reddit posts, you're going to get that. That's just, it's part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, speaking of, we're trying to keep this video short, so I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and move to the last point.
Yeah.
Yeah. This post had 4.6 million views, as I mentioned before when you took a look at this graph. But the reason why I'm showing it again is because taking this post and putting it to other subreddits the next day or even the next week or something like that is also really effective to garner additional views. You can see here, I took this exact same graph, no additional time spent at all, and I put it on R frugal because it has to do with cost in the y-axis. And again, 188,000 views, really positive response with a 97% upvote rate. And a lot of people talking about how legumes are significantly less expensive than they thought per gram of protein and other things like that. Yeah. So that's it. That's basically how I get to a million views with basically 0 followers. You see 140 over here, but it used to be about 1 or 2 before I posted my graphs.
Oh, wow. Okay. So these are all new followers on Reddit. So thank you for coming on. I thought that was really great. I do want to give people some sort of actionable items here because I want this video to be usable. I want people to actually get on Reddit and sort of use some of these tips and tricks. And so the first thing is if people want to contact you to get more information or maybe some one-on-one coaching or advice on how to do this, is that something that you could do?
I would love it. Yeah. My email address will be in the description, as you mentioned,
Yep.
Justin, and it's nutritioninfiveminutes, all lowercase, all letters, at gmail.com. I would love it for anybody who's trying to, spread the good word, to give some coaching or feedback for you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And then also, if you like this video, if you actually want something more in depth, maybe like, a live demonstration of Donkey going through one of these, let me know in the comments. And because we're thinking about potentially doing a live stream. We already actually did a previous version of this video that was way too long. And I thought, well, I want a short version, but then I also would like to get something a little longer, I think, where people could have a Q&A and to see, demonstration, maybe how you address comments in real time, how you find the post that you want to repost in real time. And I think a live stream would be a really good forum for that. So if people want to see a live stream, let me know in the comments. If you don't want to see a live stream, also let me know in the comments. It's also good. If you're like, this was enough for me, I don't want to see a live stream. The only other thing I'll say is that longer video, I do think I'm going to post that longer video on my Patreon. So we talk about a lot of the same stuff, but we get into, I think, a little more of the nuance, a little more of the nitty gritty, a little more of the details. But yeah, Donkey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this. I'm really excited about this. I'm excited for people to try it. I'm excited for them to message you. So yeah, thanks so much.
Me too. Thanks, Justin. I'll see you.
And shout out to Ryan O'Neill, Tom Eisenbeiss, NetBase News, Monstar, David Yastrzemski, and Maxwell Edison.